This is Amária Sweet with HeartMind Expressions, and I'm here with Alex Spielman. We're wanting to do kind of an update energetically, geopolitically, and been just having some really interesting discussions about kind of where we are on our timeline. And so, what is it that you're noticing, or in your studies of, some of the events that have been going on right now, that are really standing out to you?
I think probably is that at least when I'm like actually at my day job, when I'm actually working and just being within the general public, it's that interesting, sobering feeling when you walk. It's like when you realize, oh my gosh, we actually have to do something about this.
Right.
It's like, and it's refreshing. I mean, I never thought such a sobering, very such that type of experience would be so cathartic to see. But it's very nice to finally see everybody kind of coming to terms. And sometimes you have to hit that precipice.
Mm-hmm. Kind
And
of makes me think of that the old hound dog sitting on the nail, and he's whimpering and whining, and the farmer's watching him, and the visitor's like, "What's wrong with your dog?" "Well, he's sitting on a nail. Why doesn't he get up?" "Doesn't hurt yet enough." I think kind of we're at that precipice where things are hurting enough that we're getting off that nail.
Yep.
And that's energetically too, just like that. We think of the as above, so below, and vice versa. Work in the spiritual side that I do, energetically, we're definitely seeing that on both sides. We're coming through that dark night of the soul, really hitting a lot of dark energies. I know there's a lot of conjunctions coming up with our solstice, with Saturn and Jupiter conjunct. There's a lot of energies with Lilith, with our moon, with our Uranus. It's like everything's coming to square. A lot of dark energies.
Isn't it true that Saturn and Jupiter are converging with one another at this moment for the solstice?
Sorry, it froze when you said Saturn and Jupiter. So you want to repeat that really quick? What was that you were saying?
Is Saturn and Jupiter, I think they're like converging, if I remember correctly, coming up by the solstice.
Kind of like that. Yeah, it's like they're coming together in alignment. So it'll be like in the Bethlehem star is what a lot of people are calling it. It's going to be so bright. It's like that Bethlehem star.
That's what I was going to say. That is kind of what is told in the Bible when it comes to the birth of Yeshua.
Right.
And I just use that name versus Jesus just because that is the birth name. That's not that's not the church name, because as we know, the church changed a lot of the different names. So I like to actually use the name that was given to the person himself.
Right.
It's
like the Council of Nicaea kind of did a screwy thing for us.
Oh. Yep.
Well, there's a whole discussion there.
I learned when I was a good church boy one time. I learned about the Nicene Creed and the Council of Nicaea, and that's a totally different. That's kind of going into the weeds to a totally different topic. So probably it's not time for another day. But yeah, it's just like this. Like this convergence, and it's. I've noticed that just everywhere. Everything's just kind of coming together. Quite literally, it's almost like a puzzle, right? All these pieces are finally coming back together, and now we see the full picture. It's like when you look at the box, it's like, oh look, 1,000-piece puzzle. That's going to be wonderful. And you're like halfway done with it, and you just get frustrated, and you throw it to the side, and then every so often you get bored, so you start putting pieces together little by little by little, and then by like 2 weeks later, you finally put the last piece, and you're like, oh, that actually looked kind of nice. That's really kind of what we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
It's like, why did it take me so long to realize that?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
and about that hound, and about that hound dog with the nail, right?
I know, right?
About that, that nail is rusted, by the way.
Uh-huh. And
That's
it's
what we're
kind of
looking at.
corkscrewed a little.
Yeah, that's gonna take a while to heal once it's done. But hey, it's better off the nail than on it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're fine. Just thinking about, we've got all the, like, what Texas just denied their appeals as far as everything goes with the elections. I'm thinking a lot of those are doing that now. We've discussed before, kind of maybe getting it to the Supreme Court as quickly as we can. I think that's kind of the.
Well, with the last night, the Supreme Court of the United States declined to hear the case. And they said that they didn't have standing, but they were not denying that it was not a good case. It was a good case. They just didn't have standing. And that's going to be the thing. A lot of people are going to realize that we have justices now that are constitutional. You have to do things by the book. You just can't have this screwy kangaroo court anymore.
No.
And we got just because like the dark forces did that at one time doesn't mean we're allowed to do that now.
Yep.
We have to do things by the book, how it's done. And so basically what the justices were saying was, you guys weren't harmed by this. You have your own laws, right? So when it comes to a presidential election, it's 50 separate elections, right? Each one's an individual contest, and then they compare notes after a while,
Right.
after the end of it. So Texas is saying, well, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, and all these other states were cheating, and so it's impossible for us to do things. And then the justices go, well, you know what? It's their state. It's screwy, but it's in their state.
Yeah.
But if, let's say, if somebody from Georgia were to sue the state because they feel disenfranchised, that's another story. Then there is some type of claim of damage, which is actually that's actually on the docket. We have, I believe, the lawyer Lynn Wood. He was representing a case in Georgia, if I remember correctly, and I think there's also another one from Michigan, which are basically doing exactly what the justices said. We have people who are in the government who were there for the election being disenfranchised, and then they're suing the state.
I heard about that, like the lawsuits. Now there's like about 20 states right now. I think even like Utah and Idaho are amongst that. What do you think that those lawsuits are going to bring forward as far as that goes? Do you think it's going to expose this voter fraud stuff, or in your opinion, what do you think?
Well, I believe it was Georgia. The judge that was dealing with one of the cases allowed the prosecution, or I think it was called prosecution, but the respondents, I believe it actually called. But anyways, they allowed them to investigate the Dōmïnion systems, right? And so what they found out, so they used a test example. We have 100 votes. Half of them go to Trump, half of them go to Biden. This was just a mock test to see how this thing worked. I think it was 128% went to Biden. 128%.
Wow,
which is impossible. You can't go over 100%.
Exactly.
And so what we're finding out is that there is that fractional election system within there. So it's like, who is that? I think it was Don Love or something like that. He was like, 5 million to you, 10 million for me.
Sounds like something the politicians like to do.
It's like a scalper over at a boxing match.
One for you, two for me.
Wow. Two for me. And what we also found out recently is that these Dōmïnion systems, at least certain models of them, can print their own ballots.
So What do you think? Do you think they're going to do anything with the blockchain stuff on this
That was
printable ballot
actually
thing
one
that
of the
they've
things
done?
I've heard. Like one of the
Okay.
things I've heard is that this is just showing that physical media, like physical systems, as they are right now, are completely unreliable, and we need security, which is not, we don't have security whatsoever. We have, I think the best person who's ever really just talked about this was Ron Watkins, or better known as Code Monkey on Twitter.
Okay.
And he actually was the main admin for 8kun when 8chan went down because they got their servers pulled. 8kun was the revitalization of that, and basically he was interviewed by OAN, and he said, "You don't have security, then you don't have a system," basically.
Wow.
And he was trying to. So he read through the Dōmïnion owner's manual. Heaven forbid someone actually reads an owner manual for once. And he was just like, "This is a problem. This is a problem. This is a problem." I can share the video with you, the interview, because it's just
cool.
it's amazing. There are so many different points of failure.
Hey, it froze again when you said Hey, Alex, it froze again when you said I could share the video with you. So would you repeat again? Sorry about that. You said you could share the video. Sorry, it cut out on you.
Oh yeah, I could share the video of the interview with you.
Okay. Perfect. We can share that below in a link for people. That would be cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Because what we're looking at is Code Monkey lately on Twitter has been talking about all these different things that are issues. He's been kind of giving us that he's almost like the narrator of a story. That's almost like he is. He's telling you what's happening, but he wants you to focus on it. He's like, "This is what you need to focus on. This is what you need to focus on." Okay. I mean, the most recent thing he's been going after was Parler. He's been going after Parler.
Really?
Yeah.
What's he doing Parler that he's going after?
Well, lately he's been going after Dan Bongino.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because so Ron's main thing is that he deals with is network security.
Okay.
Right. He's making sure all these things are secure. So he's been trying to get Bongino he's partial owner of Parler, but he's also partial owner of Rumble too.
Oh, interesting.
So he's like, your systems, they are severely weak in their security. I have some fixes you can do to this, and it will be just fine. But until you fix these things, I don't recommend anybody using them. In fact, if you go onto Parler and you find that there is a Code Monkey account, that's not him. He doesn't have an account on Parler. So Parler has this issue when it comes to mirroring. Like they'll have somebody on the account being verified, but it's not him. It won't be him.
Yeah.
There's only two places that Code Monkey actually is, and that is on Twitter, and it's also on Gab. Which that's what I did. I actually got rid of my Parler account and I re-upped my Gab account.
Maybe I should get rid of mine. I have one. I just don't use it. So maybe I should just delete that.
Well, the problem I had with Parler was that it's too clunky.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I don't really like MeWe either. I think there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I use it sometimes, but it's not one that I'm on as much.
Well, MeWe was originally created by former Facebook employees.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
I was unaware of that.
It's really amusing when I originally got that when I was a full-blown progressive back when, like 3-4 years ago. I was part of that revolution all those years. Yeah, but back then, you know, we're using now what things that we were using back then. Zoom, MeWe, we use Gab very so often. We used Signal, which is a messaging app. Like all these things that, you know, everyone's like
IRC. Do you remember any of that? I mean, I know it's kind of my generation in the 95,
IRC,
96.
That's a little bit before my time.
Yeah, we were coding so much stuff and all of that.
I remember one person was joking, "Hey, let's go back to MySpace."
Oh God! Oh, I wonder if that even exists still. The
website still exists.
Oh my God. I haven't even looked at MySpace in years.
Sometimes you got to go back to the drawing boards. We
Yeah?
go back to American Online and MySpace.
Yeah.
At least you had, majority of those things you had a pay for a subscription.
Right. Well, I think that's the way. Let's see, IRC. What's the other one I was doing? I found my old Angel Fire account.
Oh, that one I haven't heard of. Wow. Okay.
Oh wow, yeah, I found my old website, and I've been thinking about revamping it, but it's like an old name, and now they're making you pay for everything. So I'm like, oh shoot, should I do it? But I'm not coding anymore because it's almost like this language I forgot, and I can look at some JavaScript or whatever. I'm like, wait, what was that again? There's no way. I don't have time for that.
I remember I actually took a class to learn about how to make websites at one time when I was in high school. And we were using Adobe Dreamweaver for that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is extremely easy. I remember using Dreamweaver, and that was really amazing because all you had to do was copy paste. That's all you had to do. When you copied and pasted, and actually you had to build a separate text file, and it just would do the coding while you put stuff on the actual screen.
That's cool. I've got Dreamweaver. I've never used it, but I remember. So cool. Maybe I should try it.
So going back to CodeMonkey real quickly. Okay. CodeMonkey recently, his thing besides Parler was he's looking at all the stuff that has to do with the Chinese. Because China has been a major topic lately.
It really has.
There was an article that came out the other day, and it was a gentleman who lives in the outskirts of I believe it was Vancouver, Canada. And Canada recently allowed Chinese troops into their country. Stations, right. I think it was 100,000 troops, and it's on the American-Canadian border, which is very concerning because that's right across from Washington State, right. And that's in the Seattle area. So I mean, imagine if they go into the Seattle area, and Seattle not exactly the most doesn't have the greatest merits as of late. Yeah. So it would be concerning what would happen, let's say, if they were to go in there and they run into like Antifa, BLM, and all those extremists over there. What would happen at that point? I mean, the police had a very difficult time to deal with the police had a very difficult time dealing with the autonomous zone back in the summer. That's a concern right there.
Well, it would take back a lot of the dreams and the visions that I had years ago about China and Russia invading the U.S. and the blue helmets, and I think it would definitely be a bloodbath, I think, because they don't have anything against, if you're in an invading country, well, it's not my country. Pow, let's take them out.
Well, that's the funny thing. I think, I believe there's actually somewhat of an alliance, or at least some type of an agreement between America and Russia. And I know a lot of people.
Russia, we've kind of.
I think there's an unspoken agreement with each other because it's like, hey, we've been through this together, bygones be bygones, 70 years of this, and we didn't, we had weapons of mass destruction, we never nuked each other because we all knew what was going to happen if that were to occur. And that's why it was so, I think that was why when President Trump met President Putin over in Helsinki, there was that passing of the ball and all that stuff. So I think there is definitely stuff there, and I mean, China right now. We've heard that they've been experimenting with super soldier programs, out in they've been trying to do
public. That's what's crazy.
Public. I think it's the premier of China. Their family has a massive involvement in genetics labs.
That would not surprise me at all in light of the Wuhan lab in recent events.
And I'd be afraid what's happening to the Uyghurs over in the because they've been kind of in this test area, and because the Uyghurs are they're culturally and religiously Muslim, And so when you have, so they've been persecuted very much like the Falun Gong were back in the 90s and still to this day. So they have been, they've been the horrors that the CCP has been subjecting to people, especially those who've been persecuted for all these years. But what Code Monkey was doing with China was he was showing every elected official within the United States who had a photo with an ambassador from China. So we have many governors. We have the governor of Georgia, the governor of Arizona, the governor of Michigan, governor of Nebraska. I think it was Kentucky. It was a lot of different places. It was pretty scary. And I know, at least in my home state here in Jersey, there was a lot of I have definitely heard rumors about that with Governor Murphy over here, and that's not just from people who are within the know. That was just something that's been kind of been a rumor for such a long time. But that was probably the reason why Secretary Pompeo had that meeting back, I think it was in the spring, which he got every governor within the United States in a room and he's like, you guys, you got to watch out. China's looking out for you. And we have a list of everybody who may be sympathetic. So that's where I'm kind of like, okay, they're talking about this. The State Department obviously did things about this in the past. Are we just letting people kind of do these things now so they can kind of self-incriminate?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like we keep going back to that shoplifter scenario. You have to get out of the store with the merch.
That's exactly what's happening. It just, which would explain something that 17 has said, which is these people are stupid. Which is true. These people are stupid. They keep on. It's like that. So let's go back to that shoplifter scenario, right? It's like a shoplifter going to the same store at the same day and just keeps on doing the same thing over and over again.
Just such a dumbass.
And then you have your asset protection guy just sitting there. You're like, are you finished yet? This is the 5th time you've been here, guy. Once I know you're done, then I can tackle you.
Right.
It's like and then they call the office. They call the local precinct, and they're like, "The guy's back. Damn it, you won that bet."
Oh, you're nailing that.
And so now you got that. You got the all these states saying we have certified our votes. We can get the electors involved and stuff like that. Which, by the way, there are states in contests, so technically they can't give their electoral votes to them technically, as long as you have suits involved.
Yeah.
But what I've been seeing lately is we're going to probably see some type of fallout from this. Right. No one party is going to be happy. Everybody's not going to be happy with this. One most likely is that, hey, or at least one scenario is, hey, Biden lost because of some screwiness. He obviously, the media will say, oh, he won, but, hijinks happened, and now he's not winning. And then so you'll have, like, the Dems and other, deep state agents say, hey, UN, hey, China, help us. He's obviously being a dictator. He's abused his power. And then that would explain why you have all of these people embedded everywhere. But, as usual, President Trump's a master chess player.
Yes, he is. 4D chess, baby.
So guess what he's done? So one thing he's done is that he started mobilizing the military.
You know what? My son was telling me the other night, walking through Pocatello, because we're in what's called the Gate City. So we have a huge train hub here. And he saw tanks. He saw military vehicles, the big 5 tons, all of those loaded on the trains one night.
Yep.
I think it was last Sunday.
There's been a lot of movement in Nellis Air Force Base.
Okay. Well, and we've got the base in Salt Lake. There's one in Boise that I think is another hub. Isn't there one up? Let's see, what is it? Washington State. I'm trying to remember the name of that one.
There's I believe there's an old defunct submarine base in the Puget Sound, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
Because that's where the supposed missile strike happened over that was trying to shoot down Air Force One when Hawaii had that issue a while back.
Do you think part of this mobilization has to do with the Krackïn, or do you think it's separate?
Oh, it has to do with Krackïn.
Okay.
So, I don't think I talked about that with you. Okay, so Krackïn. Okay, so you have the 1st Battalion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have, I think it's the 1st Battalion. I'm going to screw these up because
I know.
they're all
I'm
part
trying
of the
to
same
remember. I wrote it down.
Okay, so you have the 1st Battalion, and they're known as the Devils, right?
Yeah, 503 Battalion, Arizona, Krackïn, 503rd Battalion.
So the 1st Battalion is known as the Devils.
Okay.
And then I think it's the 82nd Airborne. They're known as the Krackïn. That's their nickname.
They also have a Krackïn, so it's several of them. Interesting.
And guess what famous general happened to work with the 82nd?
General Patton.
No,
really.
A current general.
Yes, it's on the tip of my tongue. What's his butt? Mattis, wait, is that it? No, crap. Okay. I'm just like one of them.
General Michael Flynn.
Thank you.
I'm just like, what? And he dealt with a lot when it came to counterintelligence, and he was also part of the DIA. So
I didn't know that.
82nd. So every year or so, they have the 82nd does a mobilization, a training exercise, and it's called Devil Storm. Not Desert Storm, but Devil Storm. And it has to do with the 1st. That has to do with the 1st Battalion. And so the 82nd is located at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. And they just they do this mobilization every year. It's a training exercise. And it happened to happen a lot later than usual. It normally happens in late November. It happened in early December. Right around now. They're doing an exercise.
An exercise. I love that.
An exercise. That's usually what they say. There's an exercise, or there's we have to do mobilist war games or stuff like that. They recently had that happen, and now you have a lot. I've heard there are several people who I know who are reservists or active military who have been recently recalled to service. Which I wonder why that is. I'm not military. I've never been military, so I couldn't tell you. And disinfo is very important. So who knows? They may be saying that, but that's just something that they have to say just to just to cover something. So we don't know. It's a national security issue, a national security topic. So
just have faith in the plan.
Must have must have faith. But we do know through. Have you ever heard of there's a podcast I was recently listening to, and information came out of it. It was the Hal Turner podcast, the Hal Turner Show, and he does a lot of this what we consider conspiracy. That's his whole thing. Is he talks about conspiracy and deep topics, and the topic he was talking about was mass mobilization of the military, which got heavily censored all over the place. If you post this particular stuff, I've been noticing if you post it, you automatically get fact checked. You have the potential of being banned. So they don't want you to talk about this. But so we have all this mobilization into Nellis Air Force Base, and then you also have carrier groups moving around, and so you have 2 carrier groups that to be particularly one section in the West Coast. I believe they're in the San Diego area, and I think there's another one over in the Oregon-Washington border.
Okay.
So they're covering that coastline, which makes you like, why are they covering the coastline? But wait, it gets better. Because it's also covering the East Coast. as well.
Really?
You have a carrier group by the border of Connecticut, a carrier group over by New Jersey, and you have a carrier group over by South Carolina. With their whole their whole group, which means you have cruisers, you have destroyers, you have aircraft carrier, and you have helicopter ships. I forgot what their name called. Dang it! And I've been just watching a lot of Navy stuff. I totally forgot the name. Anyway, so you have you have stuff on the West Coast, stuff on the East Coast, and then you have also have carrier groups that are in the Indian Ocean and also into Southeast Asia. And so what I'm guessing is that this is a defensive format. This is not offensive. This is not like we're going to war. This is a defensive formation. And so we have these carrier groups that are over by China. And so basically it's us saying, don't try it. Because our technology and our training is far superior to the People's Republic. And to be quite honest, a lot of the technology and techniques that the Chinese have is stolen. It's not even homegrown. So if they actually were pushed to such a limit that they actually use this stuff at its fullest, they would not be able to because they don't know how to use it properly.
Yeah.
It's like giving you a submarine, right? I all of a sudden I throw you in a submarine, and I'm telling you, I want you to drive the submarine down to 20,000 leagues, and I'm not going to help you with it. You're just going to have to figure out how to use that submarine. Well, I mean, I got this submarine, I got an instruction manual, but that's all I got. So I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But so China obviously has infested majority of the homeland here. And the thing is that the jig is up. They really can't do anything now with that.
Yeah.
They could if they weren't compromised. Now they're compromised.
Thank God.
And so all the president has to say is, oh well, looks like we got an insurrection act. And then they can nationalize the National Guard.
Awesome.
And then not only have the regular armed forces, but then you have the National Guard, which if you use the Insurrection Act like they did back with Bush Sr., he actually used it during the LA riots. Because you had at that time Governor Doyle. The governor who just left California before Newsom came in. Okay. I forgot his name.
You're doing better than I would. So I'm just keep going.
But basically, Bush Sr. did the Insurrection Act in that case, shut down the riots, and then once the Insurrection Act is elapsed, the National Guard goes back to the governor because normally it's under the control of the governor.
Wow.
This case, I'm not too sure about that, and the only date you really got, we're on a timetable at this point. Time is actually not exactly fantastic, but you know what? I'm not the man making this plan. I'm just the man I'm just the one analyzing it at this point.
Right.
And you know what?
I think you do a really good job about it. I mean, wow.
One of the things Co-Monkey was doing, so after he was looking at all the governors and legislators and everybody else, like he said, if he could find a photo, he posted the photo of a person with the Chinese ambassador.
Wow.
The good news is nobody in high-ranking military, admirals or generals, 4-star or higher, or 4-star, I think it was 4-star or any other level of general, are compromised. So the high levels are now clean. They have good leadership there. So if something were to happen, I believe we're in very capable hands.
Yeah, I think we are.
I mean, I couldn't say that 2-3 years ago. You know, if they wanted to do something, they could do something, but I don't think they're going to do anything. They're trying to run the clock. They're just trying to play the clock down.
I'm hoping that it stays peaceful, because according to some amazing astrologers that I've talked about, if military stuff happens, it could come around January 7th, whenever all the planetary energies and everything come together.
That's what I heard. They were going to do something earlier this month, but they want to make sure everything is peaceful come Christmas, because Christmas is going to be important. The president recently put out an executive order, which made Christmas Eve a federal holiday.
Interesting.
Well, when you read this executive order, one of the things it talks about is the DNI and the DNI director, and he has he talks about, a review of the election, what happened with the election, what they observed with it, and it has to do with election integrity. Well, that happens to happen on New Year's. I keep on saying New Year's Eve. It's on Christmas Eve. It happens 45 days after the election.
Okay,
there's that 45 again. President 45. With 45.
Fascinating.
And if you remember, earlier this year, we have a new DNI. Now it's John Radcliffe, who was fantastic when it came to dealing with all the Russia stuff and the Ukraine stuff. He was one of those people who was able to deal with the disgruntled employees, if you will, when they were testifying, and he ripped them to shreds, because he was a former prosecutor. He understood the legal system, and he's like, you claim that? And they would go, yes. Do you have evidence of that? No, I don't. So why are you telling us this? I was told to. Well, tell the person who told you that to tell us directly.
Wow.
That's kind of how that conversation would go. It was a very, very fast conversation, usually.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I would think that most likely we would actually not even go through the regular legal system with this. We'd probably go through the military tribunal system.
Which would be nice. Just get it done.
Well, and we actually have somebody within the public scene who is a licensed prosecutor for the tribunals.
Really?
Yeah. Someone we know. Someone we've seen in the news. Somebody who was representing General Flynn. Sidney Powell. She is licensed to try in the military tribunals.
Right. I think I remember you and Alex Bloom talking about that on one of our other videos.
So everything kind of works together. It's that masterful. Get all that evidence out, show how corrupt the legal system is, and then throw them into a tribunal. Another thing you may see happen is what happened during the Civil War era, which I'm not usually a big fan of this, but in this case, this may be necessary. Like getting rid of habeas corpus for a period of time, getting rid of like several First Amendment, protections for, that would be probably the most limited time. It wouldn't be forever. It would be like, probably a week at most, if anything were to occur. But
that'd be interesting to see how this rolls out.
Because if you remember, Abraham Lincoln, when he was president, he arrested pastors, he arrested newspapers, he arrested celebrities at the time because they were sympathetic to the separatist movement. And and I'm not a big fan of when people, arrest newspapers and stuff like that, but it may happen.
That, in light of the amount of treason that's gone on, I think it needs to happen.
Well, I would say if President Trump were to do that, he would have a much more legitimate case to do that on than President Lincoln. President Trump has been bombarded by this blatantly treasonous media for the last 5 years almost.
Yep.
And it's not just the media, but it's the the universities have been doing stuff.
Alex, it froze when you said university. Can you hear me? Alex, can you hear me? There we go. I got you back. So it had said, whenever you were saying the universities, it froze out again really hard this time. So it was kind of cool. Your background went fuzzy for a second. It's kind of a cool effect. Is your bandwidth? You can turn off your video if you need to, if your bandwidth is being weird again.
That's kind of what happened so far.
Yeah.
Is that stuff has happened.
There you go. Now I can hear you again. So when you were talking about the universities, you had flashed way out.
Yeah,
the internet. Yeah, I'm right here. All right, there it goes. Okay, so when you were talking about the university, it cut out, the bandwidth went really bad. So do you want to go just start where you left off there on the university?
I basically said anybody with any type of money and power has been dealing with those types of things for better half of 70 years.
Right.
I mean, you have things like Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra,
Looking Glass.
They've had. We've already seen how professors almost actively endorse radical ideology.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of capitalism. We got to get rid of the state. We got to do all of these things, and you wonder why you have a population of college students that think that the world's out to get them.
Yeah.
The world's not. Yeah, I agree. I would agree. The world's out to get you, but it's not the people you think it is.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the people who are not out to get you, and the people that a lot of these people think that are actually out to get them, would probably be their closest allies, which is something I had to learn the hard way when I started really kind of getting my head screwed on straight again.
Wow.
But
definitely a lot going on. But I'm grateful for whatever disclosure we're getting, because I know we are getting a lot of disclosure, even though it's not being put on the fake news media outlets. It is leaking through, and even on The View, which one of my clients watches, and I have to listen and go through. They are starting to bring some things out. It's funny though, the Hunter Biden stuff, they're only looking at it as taxes. I'm like, you kidding me? What about the laptops? Come on, let's put that on the news.
Well, another thing that was recently came out was they finally acknowledged ETs.
Mm-hmm.
They recently started acknowledging that. There was this, I believe it was an Israeli advisor who said that Trump was ready to, announce it to the world. He was ready to do that. And then COVID happened. Had all these things happen to him. But he was ready to do that. He got ready to go.
Wow. Well, it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming.
We're just in that cleanup stage. The shit show is here, but we're just going through that karmic cycle.
We're going that period of time where you have a bandage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna hurt to rip it off, but it's kind of like that rip.
Just get it off.
Right now we're in that initial shock feeling. We're like, that's what we're dealing. We're doing with an initial shock of ripping the bandage off, because I think we did it the slow and methodical and easy way of doing things for a while, and that just wasn't working.
No, it wasn't.
We have to go a lot faster, so that I think it really more has to do with attention spans.
Even I got a short attention span lately.
It's like, what happened now? What? And then now they're like, oh, what happened to John Durham? What happened to his investigation and stuff like that? Well, he was an attorney. He was an attorney. He couldn't U.S. attorney. Not anymore. He's not a U.S. attorney anymore. He's a special counsel.
Nice.
And you know what the difference between a U.S. attorney and a special counsel is? The difference is, so he was the U.S. attorney for Connecticut. And so he was only allowed to try things that happened in Connecticut.
Ooh.
As a special counsel, on the other hand, he can try anybody anywhere in the country.
Nationwide.
Yep.
I like it.
And heaven forbid something were to happen to President Trump, but say Biden gets in, a special counsel cannot be fired by the president. He can only be fired due to, I think it was poor performance and lack of candor. I think those are like the only two things. He actually has to legitimately do something wrong or commit a crime, and then he can be excused. Otherwise, he can't be. And that's why President Trump never let go of Mueller when he was doing his stuff, because he was in that special counsel position.
Makes sense.
They're like, hey, everyone's like, fire Mueller. You know you want to do that. You know you want to fire Mueller. He can't. He wasn't allowed. I mean, he could if he wanted to, but it would look very bad on him.
Yeah.
I mean, that would definitely give legitimate arguments for potentially impeaching at that point.
That would be legitimate, is where it's cut out again.
That would be a legitimate reason to investigate impeachment at that point.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that. He let the process go where he did, and then when it happened, they didn't find anything. Here's John Durham now investigating the Russia investigation. Once again, the shoplifter. This is the shoplifter. We want them to do everything they're doing, have our own investigation into what they did. Well, let's see. You violated this law, that law, that law, that law. Oh gosh, dude, you ranked up a nice total right there. And we're not at Dave and Buster's, and this is not tickets that you can use at the local, ticket exchange.
Wow.
I think that's the biggest difference between people who are kind of aware of the situation and then those who are just kind of there for politics reasons.
Right.
There was this really good meme I saw the other day. It's MAGA versus Anon. It was MAGA versus Anon.
I did see that one.
MAGA is like, oh no, what's happening? We got to do something about that. And then you have Anon, which was Baby Yoda. It's like just sipping tea. It's like, just wait. Just wait. It's like, and then another was a panic, and then you have the guy throwing his arm against him, like, this is the good part. This is the good part, guys.
Or what was the other Anon one with the baby that's and the other one's like
Oh yeah, it one's like you have two different types of Anons. You have do something cute, and the other one's like just enjoy the plan. Just enjoy it. It's just glorious. Did you really think it was going to be done like that? It was not going to be done like that. We're talking about this transnational criminal organization with a freaking blood death cult in the which moonlights that at night. It was not going to be one and done. And I you know what they say, a laugh a day keeps the Archon away.
I get plenty of those in. Man.
The Archons don't like it when they don't get their louche for dinner. There you go. There you go.
Well, this has been awesome. I think this update is something that we definitely needed. I needed, just because I don't get the chance to always study all this. So thank you so much for enlightening
it. Yeah. So just kind of a quick recap. We have lawsuits still there. Just because the Texas one got dismissed doesn't mean anything else is happening. There's several different things there. It has been exposed that we've been infiltrated and basically infested by China.
Right.
We have defensive groups right now in the military all over the place. And if that wasn't anything else, we had all these supporters go to Washington, D.C. in support of the president today.
That's so cool.
I mean, if that, and I mean, he's not even, he's, you know, if a person was leaving, they wouldn't be, you know, starting to bring more people into these positions. They would just be like, well, it's been fun. And then they would just kind of be wrapping up at this point. He's not wrapping up. He's still putting people in. He's still changing things around. You know, that looks like somebody who's looking for their second term.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the real data. We have the real numbers.
Right.
It's just a matter of just being in real time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's if we had the ability to do a fast forward button, that'd be wonderful.
I know. Can we just? Where's my Click? What is that? The movie Click with the?
Yeah. You know, because I know
wow.
you know people have who have been kind of privy to a lot of this stuff for a while have been like, come on, just get to the good part. We know what you have to do. Come on.
Right.
But but the train only goes as fast as the slowest.
It's true.
It only goes fast. It only goes as fast as the slowest moving part of the train.
Very true.
You know, we got. You know, not all of us are very good at shock therapy. Oh,
well, and I think it is going. I think the speed that it needs, and especially with people waking up, and I mean the energy is coming together. I think we're really holding ourselves together very well, considering the circumstances.
Yeah, and you can see there's also a slow boil of people just starting to get really angry. You know, most people, you know, that was the benefit of COVID. That was like the fantastic part of COVID. Lock somebody up and just see what happens. That is definitely a good idea. Let's just see what. I mean, we all know what happens when you shake up a soda. Imagine that soda had, you know, 2 kids, a dog, and a house, and a car to pay for.
Yeah.
That's
a story.
That soda
right
would
there
be a little bit more. But anyway, that's what you're seeing right now. We're just seeing that, you know, seeing that soda shake up a little bit more by more.
Throw Mentos in it while we're at it.
Oh, so it's a Diet Coke then? Okay.
I know, right? That's how it feels. So good. Oh man. Well, C4OC Radio and Revelation Radio listeners, if you guys have any questions for future shows, of course, Alex definitely knows his stuff on geopolitics, and you can find him on Facebook as well. He's got all of his great lives. Now you're also shifting over to, is it BitChute that you're putting some new stuff on, or?
Well, when I upload things onto YouTube, it actually automatically uploads onto BitChute.
Oh, perfect.
So I was recently flagged this morning, 4:30, I believe it was in the morning, by Facebook because I did a post the day prior.
Oh, brother.
I was critical. I was critical about COVID. They're like, you can't be critical about COVID. I'm like, of course I can be critical. Well, guess what? You're going to be in the naughty house for a little bit.
Oh,
I'm not in jail, but still. But I may be leaving Facebook soon, but Twitter and of course Gab. I'm going to be on Gab a lot more soon. And
what's your Gab information?
It's the same thing in my Twitter, the same tag. It's going to be Zara Lexi 45, and you're going to see a photo of Andrew Breitbart as my profile picture.
That's awesome.
I love Andrew Breitbart. He is a role model of mine. It's a shame that he passed so soon. I never got the chance. But his quote was, "Walk through the flames, walk through the fire." You know, they can't harm you if they don't know how to.
Oh, I like that.
You know, you just walk through the flames. You just take every sling and arrow, because at the end of the day, you know yourself better than anybody else at that point.
Right.
And as long as you have truth on your hand, as long as you have truth, that's all you have to worry about.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you so much. Well, I look forward to our next chat. And wow, this is amazing. Thank you so much for your research, your diligence, and this amazing update.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, I enjoy doing this. It gives me a little bit of an outlet to, just allow, all the stuff that I've kind of acquired, share it amongst people, because that's what it needs.
Yes.
The free flow of information is the only safeguard against tyranny.
Right. You're true. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And we're doing it. I think Thomas Jefferson is like, yes, 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 yes.
Thomas Jefferson. I'm a Jeffersonian. Totally
Yes,
true.
me too, baby. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, for
the original.
C4OC and Revelation Las Vegas and Heart Mind Expressions, we absolutely appreciate everything that you do. And until next time, we'll see you guys.
Take care.